the hardest worker in your company probably won't become the richest person in your company. And deep down, you already know that's true. So why are we still telling people that hard work is the path to wealth? I want to ask you something before we go any further. Think about the hardest working person you personally know. Maybe it's your mom who worked double shifts for 20 years. Maybe it's a coworker who's always first in, last out. Maybe it's you. Now, are they wealthy? Be honest, because here's what I've noticed. The people we admire most for their work ethic are rarely the people signing the big checks. And that gap, that distance between effort and reward, that's what this video is actually about. Not to tear down hard work, I promise you, but to ask a harder question. What if the advice was always slightly wrong? These people are not lazy. They are working harder than most executives ever will. So why isn't that reflected in their bank accounts? Here's the claim I'm making today, and I want you to sit with it before you reject it. Hard work, on its own, is one of the worst financial strategies ever taught. Not because effort doesn't matter, it does, but because hard work was sold to us as a complete strategy, when it was really just one ingredient in a much bigger recipe, and we got conned into thinking the ingredient was the meal. Hard work is the entry fee. It gets you in the door. But once you're inside, the rules of the game are completely different. And nobody told you that. Let me show you what I mean. Let's look at some comparisons that are going to be uncomfortable. Take, for instance, a construction worker and a real estate developer. The construction worker is physically on site every single day, lifting, measuring, pouring, in the heat, in the cold. The developer shows up occasionally, makes phone calls, reads contracts. Who works harder? The construction worker. Objectively, who makes more money? You already know. How about nurses? If you want to see real hard work, spend a day with a hospital nurse. 12-hour shifts. Life or death decisions. Emotional weight that most people couldn't carry for a week. The average nurse in the US makes around $80,000 a year. The average hospital CEO? Around $600,000 at a mid-sized hospital. Major health systems, we're talking millions. The nurse works harder. The nurse carries more stress per hour. The nurse saves more lives directly. So what does the CEO have that the nurse doesn't? We'll get there. Let's look at another crucial example, and this one possibly might sting. Farmers. Yes, farming is brutal. It is some of the most physically punishing, weather-dependent, relentless work that exists. Farmers wake up before sunrise. They work in conditions that would hospitalize most office workers. And yet, Paul, the average US farmer, earns under $50,000 a year. Meanwhile, an investor who buys farmland and leases it can make more money than the farmer while literally never touching the soil. I'm not saying that's fair. I'm saying that's how the system works. And if nobody told you how the system works, that's the real problem. So what's the pattern here? Construction workers versus developers, nurses versus hospital executives, farmers versus landowners. The pattern isn't laziness versus hard work. The pattern is labor versus leverage. Hard work trades your time for money. Leverage multiplies money without trading more time. And here's the brutal truth about labor. It has a ceiling. You only have 24 hours. Your body only has so much energy. There is a hard cap on how much you can earn by working harder. Leverage has no ceiling. That's the game they didn't teach you in school. And before someone in the comments tells me, Maya, not everyone can be an investor or a CEO, I hear you. I'm not saying everyone should be. I'm not even saying the system is designed fairly. It's not. What I'm saying is this. If you were handed a map that said, work hard and you'll get rich, and you followed that map for years and it didn't lead where they promised, the problem wasn't your effort. The problem was the map. I want to say something now that I need you to hear in the spirit it's intended. If you grew up being told that hard work is the key, maybe from a parent, a coach, a teacher you really respected, this video might feel like an attack. It's not. But I do want to ask you one question. Have you been confusing effort with value? Because they're not the same thing. You can work incredibly hard and create very little economic value. And you can work a few hours a week and create enormous economic value. The market doesn't pay for effort. The market pays for value delivered. And I know, that doesn't feel fair. Because effort feels like it should count for more. It feels like it should be rewarded. But feelings don't set salaries. Supply and demand set salaries. And if the skill you're working incredibly hard at is one that thousands of other people can also do, the market will pay accordingly. Not cruelly, just mathematically. Here's where it gets personal. A lot of us, and I include myself in this, were raised with a work ethic as a moral identity. Hard work wasn't just a strategy, it was who we were. The person who doesn't complain, the person who shows up, the person who earns what they get, and that identity, it's genuinely beautiful. But it also made us vulnerable to a lie, that moral effort equals financial reward. And when the reward didn't come, a lot of good, hardworking people didn't question the system. They questioned themselves. That's the part that bothers me most. Okay, here's where I have to be precise. Because if I leave you here, I've only done half the job. I'm not telling you hard work doesn't matter. Hard work matters enormously. It matters for skill development. It matters for credibility. It matters for showing up when it's hard, which builds a kind of character money can't buy. What I'm arguing is much more specific. Hard work alone as a financial strategy is incomplete. And teaching it as complete advice is harmful, because here's what actually builds wealth. Hard work in the right direction, skill development in areas where supply is low and demand is high, ownership of businesses, assets, ideas, systems, leverage using capital, technology, or other people's time to multiply your output, networks, because who you know changes what opportunities you can even see. Hard work is the engine, but without a vehicle, without direction, leverage, and strategy, you're running a powerful engine in neutral. Lots of noise, lots of heat, going nowhere. The hardest working people I know are not the wealthiest people I know. But the wealthiest people I know did work incredibly hard, strategically. They worked hard to build things that kept producing value after they stopped working. They worked hard to develop skills so rare that the market had no choice but to pay. They worked hard to build relationships that opened doors that effort alone couldn't unlock. That's a different kind of hard work than just showing up and grinding. And that difference, that tiny difference in direction, compounds over decades into completely different lives. So I want to leave you with a question. Not an answer, a question. Because honestly, I think you deserve to wrestle with this one yourself. Here it is. Who deserves more money? The nurse pulling a 12-hour shift in an understaffed hospital? Or the hospital administrator who restructured the staffing model? The farmer who works the land every single day, or the investor who owns the land? The construction worker who built the building, or the developer who had the vision to build it? I'm not going to tell you the answer, because the more interesting question isn't who deserves more. It's why the system pays the way it does, and whether, knowing that, you want to keep playing by the rules you inherited or start learning the rules of a different game. Hard work is not the enemy. Bad strategy is. Tell me in the comments, do you think the market should pay for effort or for value? And if you've ever felt like hard work wasn't paying off the way you were promised, you know better now. And if this video made you think, even if it made you angry, that's worth a subscribe. See you in the comments.